Hi, my name is Nathaniel Conant, and I participated in the 2016 Clown Phenomenon.
You know, you might say, why clowns? And so there's a lot of theory about clowns, and you know, if you look back at clowns, there's always been the potential for them to be creepy and unsettling. You know, historically, clowns were the figures that violate social taboos. They make people laugh by violating social taboos. And so it isn't just making people laugh, it's also making people feel uncomfortable.
For me, it all started with the sightings in Lawrence, probably early 2016. You know, I kind of looked into that, and there was a lot of different videos online and stuff like that that were interesting and just kind of looked exciting, so kind of piqued my interest.
What you encounter somebody dressed as a clown out there in the world, all of a sudden there's a potential that you're going to have to interact with that clown. And clowns by their nature are kind of creepy, right? They have exaggerated features, you know, like large shoes and a large red nose, and ever since Grimaldi the face has been painted white. So they sort of, they're uncanny figures. They're mostly human, but there's something that's just not quite right about them.
You know, it's pretty interesting to, you know, look through the mask. You know, when I'd watched the videos online, it was, you know, from a third-person perspective, you know, but looking through the mask and seeing people's fear associated with, you know, something that you're doing is kind of, it's just interesting, it's exciting, something different.
In a way, I mean, my working theory right now is that in addition to the buildup of the presidential election, that the clown panic manifested as a collective. So we've got the underlying stress, a triggering event, and then collective action, which is where the community rallies around this issue and tries to defend itself.
Probably the best scare was actually two maybe early teenagers, maybe 12-year-olds, out in the park. You know, their parents were behind them, but they saw me. Originally they were like walking up to me, and then I turned around real quick and they just ran off screaming. That was probably the best, you know, like instant scare that I saw. Everyone else, like I said, had that moment of shock and awe, and then it kind of faded into more of intrigue. After about a month of that, I did it probably 3 or 4 times. I decided I would try downtown. It was one of the pub crawls that night, and I kind of just stood in an alley, and you know, when people that I thought would have been good, you know, people to scare, I would put on their mask and turn around and kind of walk towards them or whatever. And a group of about 4 dudes. You know, I was a little bit closer than usually. Usually I let, you know, I'm kind of 10, 15 feet away. These guys kind of came around the corner where I was in like an alley down by Booch's, and you know, they were within grabbing distance, and the first guy grabbed me, threw me to the ground. You know, it didn't really get too violent, you know, because it all kind of de-escalated pretty quickly, but it was just kind of interesting to see, you know, how visceral that reaction was, you know, as he came around the corner, saw my face, and reacted. So it was pretty cool.
And so other than those, you know, sort of the characteristics of clowns that make them uncanny and then therefore have the potential for fear, and the fact that they're no longer on a stage, and so they could, you know, now you have to deal with this clown, you have to interact with the clown, perhaps, if the clown gets close enough to you. So I actually think that making a connection between the mass shooters and the clown panic makes a lot of sense, because the mass shooters, according to statistics, are mostly coming from within the group, and yet, you know, they just look like normal people. Well, what if we could have the mass shooter be dressed in a clown costume? At least then you could identify where the evil is coming from, right? And then you can deal with it.
It kind of lost its intrigue when I was really around the time the movie It came out, early 2017, I think. You know, it came out that most of the clown sightings were just kind of publicity for the movie, and after doing it a few times, it had just kind of lost its excitement. So I just kind of, you know, threw the mask in the closet and didn't think about it much.